Okay, so Faith Kelly was here and then somebody else jumped in and jumped right off. But I am going to look at a couple essays. Yeah, I'm gonna look at a couple of essays here. Nope, that's not it. Okay. All right, so this is an essay. I'm gonna look at two essays and see how these people did. Now, first of all, I can see that the references look really good. Um, let's see. Not sure how many words this is. Let's see. We can find out how many words we got. Okay, I mean 303. All right, so an ethical philosophy called utilitarianism, this should be capitalized. I mean, it's a little thing, but seeks to increase total happiness. It emphasizes the effects of an action, which means that the morality of an action is decided by its outcome. Good. Animals are included in this principle as well as people. Okay, that could be a little clearer. Animals are included in the moral community, is what I think they were trying to get at. Therefore, utilitarians would be against using animals in research or for commercial purposes. Yeah, probably, unless this is a tricky point, but unless the benefit to people outweighs the suffering of those animals, in that case, there might be arguments among some utilitarians, but generally, even though animals are included in the moral community, they're not totally equal to humans. I mean, there might be some really strict utilitarians who think that way, but most utilitarians would not think that way. And so the suffering has to be for a really good purpose, like we're curing dementia or we're curing cancer, something like that. Then the benefit would totally outweigh the suffering. But otherwise, like, probably all through the 70s and 80s, probably they were testing cosmetics on like animals and I don't know. There's a lot of terrible things that went on, and I think it's much better regulated, but some people still do object. So this person is including both research and commercial purposes. Usually we make a split, but it just depends how you want to tackle that issue. If you want to talk about like it's just never acceptable, that's one thing. Or if you want to say it is acceptable in terms of medical research, but not acceptable in terms of like cosmetics. This begs the question, it doesn't beg the question, it raises the question, should animals be employed in research or testing for industry? All right, and so I don't know, I see some more stats in here. And then we get some arguments, our argument for marginal cases and the emotional attachment. So okay, India is more likely to oppose animal testing and support, and the argument for marginal cases is mentioned, but not supported. So please, if you bring something up, make sure that you give some support to that. And then, okay, so they kind of did, I mean, they did an overall good job. I would consider this a good first draft, but I don't think this is like the best in class paper or like even an A paper probably. So this is good. It's on the right track, but there's like incomplete sentences and there's no support for the argument for marginal cases, which would be a very good place to go with this argument in general. All right, that's one essay I wanted to look at, and we're going to look at one more, and then I'm going to close out this Zoom. All right, should death row inmates be able to commit suicide? Okay, intriguing question. So I don't know if this is where the person is going, but the idea is in terms of ending life. Now here, in both cases, Titans, look at this. Okay, this person does have 2 paragraphs. They could probably get away with one more paragraph. This person has a block of text, and I'm telling you, I'm begging you not to turn in work like this. It's very hard for my old AIs to read this. And so you want to make things as easy on me as possible. And if it's difficult for me to read your work, That's not great. All right. Utilitarianism is an ethical view that places importance on what is most beneficial for the most amount of people. Okay. Because the principle of utilitarianism is based on net positives, it allows for suffering to occur as long as that suffering brings benefits that outweigh it. A little dicey on the language there, but I get what you're going for. Based on this, a utilitarian may likely to argue that, okay, that's awkward. So make sure you run everything through a grammar checker. Another thing you can do is to read it into your phone and then listen to it, or read it to a willing roommate or family member. So when you read it out loud, it's a really good way to find out if it makes sense, if it flows, if you have left a sentence unfinished, what have you. So that's a really good thing to get into. I do that myself, like not every time, be honest with you, but a lot of times if I have a long message to you all, I will read it out just to myself and my cat, and see if it sounds okay. Giving the option for death row inmates to commit suicide can provide the positives of extending suffering for the inmate, reducing the cat. Okay, so in this case, it's very awkward. First of all, you don't generally want to start a sentence with an ing word. So let's see. So I would fix it. And I'm not an English teacher. It's just I used to teach English. And so some of this is like, and both my mom and my stepmother taught English, so it's like in my bones. But just some tips, like don't start a sentence with the ing word, and then giving the option for death row inmates. That's a run-on. Okay, look how long that sentence is. It starts with giving and it ends with well-being. Wah. And it's like 4 or 5 lines. That's too long. If the previously mentioned positives outweigh any possible negatives, then a utilitarian may cite them as a good defense for allowing death row inmates to commit suicide. Also, the other thing is that we don't generally use that phrasing anymore, commit suicide, because that makes it sound like it's, committing a sin or committing a crime, just something to think about. So I think the terminology has changed a little bit, but this was just last year, so that person should have known that. One argument against allowing prisoners to commit suicide is the impossibility of voluntary euthanasia argument. Okay, interesting. So they are citing basically information that we haven't talked about yet. So that makes me a little bit suspicious, because I don't know of a lot of students who are going to go all the way to another chapter. So that makes me a little suspicious, I'm not going to lie, when I see people like going and reading a whole other chapter that we haven't even talked about in class. All right, because Canada has a method of requesting voluntary euthanasia, is it given that they practically support allowing inmates to commit suicide is a question, but this has a period at the end of it. So a lot of kind of grammatical errors, and some kind of coherence problems in terms of like the flow, and then just straight like spelling, and not spelling, but they should have capitalized utilitarian, and they should have given me some paragraphs and other things like that. But I know I just got a warning from Zoom saying that the meeting was going to end, so I'm going to cut it off right here. So you have these 2 recordings. I'll send out a message in a little bit with these recordings as soon as they are available. And if you were not able to join me today, remember I'm having meetings again on Sunday and Monday. And if you have questions about the assignment, just please get in touch. I will be in and out today running errands and such, but I have my phone with me and I will get back to you as soon as I can. All right. Good luck with everything. I'll talk to you later. Bye.